This podcast is sponsored by...
Football has its ups and downs. You can't win every match, but you can win every bet. Start your free trial and earn £30 risk-free today at oddswatchdog.co.uk.
Hello and welcome to the Gooner Ramble podcast. I'm your host Giles, and I'm stating categorically, right from the off, the panel I've assembled tonight are prepared and mentally focused to deal with the challenges of the evening. So without further ado, let me introduce tonight's lineup. And tonight we don't have one, but we have two special guests. Firstly, she's a triathlete and an Arsenal season ticket holder, and I'm hoping she doesn't break down in tears as she revokes tales of last night's nightmare. It's the one and only Jane Cavendish. Welcome back, Jane. How are you?
Thank you very much, Giles. And no guarantees that I won't burst out into tears thinking about last night. But it was pretty horrible, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't great viewing. And secondly, our second guest tonight is a columnist and an author who believes football's a funny old game. I'm sure we'll see how funny he thinks last night's game was. It's our friend of the pod, Dave Seeger. Welcome back, Dave. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, considering all things, and thank you for having me back on.
No problem. And last but not least, she's my podcast wife. Been a long time since we've been back together. It's the one and only Princess Gooner, Amanda. 24 hours on. How are you feeling?
Hello! Like we lost to Watford last night.
Indeed. All right. So that's about as happy as I'm going to try and be tonight, because I've lost my happy pills. And I'm hoping you folks are not mentally weak and you are mentally ready to take us through what you saw through your eyes last night. So I'm going to start with you, Jane. If you was to surmise pretty quickly what you saw to somebody that hadn't seen the game, how would you describe what turned out?
I'd probably use one word, Giles, and that is slow. Everyone was so slow. You know how we've had two different Arsenals this season? Fast Arsenal, which has been so exciting and, scored so many goals, and we've all loved watching it. And then there's this other version where everyone just walks around and there's no movement, there's no pace at all, and we don't get anywhere. That was really too much of last night, I thought.
Dave, over to you.
Yeah, as you know, Giles, a rare home game that I missed last night, and I was feeling mildly smug at the end of the evening. That's all I can say for not being there, particularly since my seat isn't covered and I would have got very, very wet. But I did manage to watch the whole game on a stream because I knew it was coming on, and I wanted to watch it. So thanks for that. Not dreadful. I just thought we played a fantastic brand of football at the weekend, albeit with allegedly second string against a Southampton second string. But it was the style of football. It was a tactical setup, and I just thought it was the perfect shape. And the way we approached the game was perfect for Chelsea away. So I assumed even if the personnel changed, he would try and do something similar. But he didn't, and he went back to the rigid 4-2-3-1 to accommodate Ozil. And as Jane said, when we have that set up with Giroud up top, it can work on occasion, but it's quite slow and rather predictable. And I think most teams, who do their homework know how to defend against it.
Amanda.
Well, when I saw the team last night, I sent it to our WhatsApp group, and my first thing was, I said lots of pace, laugh out loud. Because I looked at that and I thought that cannot be any more different to what he put out against Southampton. Yes, of course he has to change for certain teams. I get that. But I was pretty bored. I looked at the team and I thought, where's Perez? Where's Theo? Where's the Ox? 3 great players on Saturday. I don't buy this, a Southampton putting it out our second team. Well, they did, so what? But we still played brilliant Saturday. We set off from the word go like a steam train. Last night, I was still wondering after 15 minutes when we were going to come out. So I'm not happy, Giles, not at all. To be honest, I don't know anyone that's happy.
Quite. Jane, coming back to you, you said there's two different Arsenals, and I suppose we've got we'd like Wenger to just decide on one. Which is it to be? Is it to be the fast Arsenal with pace that we saw on Saturday, that people were, very effusive about, or sort of static, slow Arsenal? I don't understand why anybody would want to see static, slow Arsenal, but why do we persist? I mean, I like Giroud. I mean, I'm not a massive fan. I'm not going to say he's world class. I don't think he's overrated. I don't think he's underrated. I think he is what he is. And I understand why he's been in the side this year, because we've needed Alexis out left to cover for our failings at left on the left hand side. So, but why do you think Wenger still persists with Giroud up top? And I mean, I don't really want to single out players, because he wasn't the single point of failure for last night. But I'm sure Dave will say that, having Giroud in the team means we play a certain kind of way, which isn't as intense, isn't as fast, it's not as quick, it's not as flowing. So, in your eyes, Jane, I mean, why does Wenger continue?
Well, if Dave is going to say that, I would completely agree with him. He's absolutely right. The problem Wenger has is the central dilemma for all managers. How do you maintain pace over a 38-game season with no winter break in the middle? It's very, very difficult. Last year, we saw Spurs blow up in April, May. They couldn't keep it going. This year, Liverpool have blown up over Christmas, and Klopp's getting to grip with the whole sort of Premier League without the winter break. And Wenger's solution seems to be to play two different ways. He can have this very high energy pressing game, intermittent pressing, as it were. But then he realizes that he can't go through the whole season doing that. So we had, just looking back at the fixture in December, I think we had, 5 games in 15 days, 4 of them away. So that took out a huge physical toll on everyone, and we felt it against Everton and Man City at the end of the month. So since then, he's kind of reverted, which coincided also with Theo getting injured. So he's kind of reverted back to the safe 4-2-3-1 that we've all come to know and love, or not, as the case may be. But then the question becomes, was this a game too far for that? Did he need to do this against Watford? Did he underestimate them in many ways? Because yes, we've got 3 games in 1 week, so he could have rested Alexis and Theo, for example, at the weekend, and then brought them back in and played the very sort of fluid, fast, counter-attacking pressing game. But he thought, I think he made the gamble that, slow 4-2-3-1 with Giroud up top would be enough for Watford. And one of the reasons why it wasn't was because there was no movement at all. I'm a big fan of Giroud. I've said many times, I think I love what he does. What he offers is very, very, very valuable. But he has specific shortcomings. He's not mobile. He can't lead a press, and he can't feature in a counter-attack. So if you take those both sides of transition away, that restricts you terribly badly. And
Jane, can I interrupt?
As Dave said,
Can I interrupt?
Yeah,
just
sorry,
really briefly? I'll raise you Crystal Palace. His goal against Crystal Palace, the counter attack, which he was very integral to.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't recall it,
yes.
but was he integral on the start of the
Yes,
he wasn't really on the end of it, wasn't he?
Yeah, but he was integral at the start of it as well. His flick to, I think.
Yeah, he did start it off. No, you're right. Absolutely. Okay, I'll marginally take that back. I think if you count the number of counter-attack goals he's been involved with over the last 4 years since he's been with us, how many have there been?
Well, he won't be on the end of them, certainly, will he? He might be involved as we break out of a corner situation, but he won't be on the person who's at the end of them. I think that's what Jane's saying.
Yeah, no, you got me there, mate. Yeah, you got me there, Jane. So.
Yeah. So it's a problem with, if we're trying to play this sort of fast-paced transition game, and if we just take a step back from that and play a possession game instead of that, then teams, as Dave said, know how to defend against that. They just defend narrow within the width of their own 6-yard box, and it's very, very difficult for us to break down. I mean, yesterday reminded me so much of Swansea last season when they came and turned us over exactly the same way.
Amanda, I want to bring you back in. Wenger said, I mean, you've heard what Jane said. I'm sure you probably agree that you like seeing us being pacey and fast and quick and vivacious. Wenger said before the game...
Vivacious? Never heard that for a football team description before.
You heard it here first. Wenger said before the game that, we're mentally prepared, we're ready for the challenge ahead. So you expect that, they've not taken their opposition lightly, which turned out to be not the case. But we've seen this poor first 45 minutes as a regular feature in 2017. Of 5 of the 6 games that we've played in so far this year, we've seen us start really poorly, and we've got away with it with the skin of our teeth, and the chickens came home to roost last night. But when you see the Wenger talking about, we weren't prepared mentally for the duels and whatnot, what does that make you think? I mean, what kind of, you have to question how they we don't know how they prepare, but you have to question, does he know the players? I mean, what's going on there in your eyes?
I was flabbergasted when I heard him say they weren't mentally ready. What's their jobs to do? What do you mean mentally ready? If I said to my boss I'm not mentally ready, I'd be sacked. That's not right. They've got this problem starting a game, and I don't know why. Didn't have it at Southampton, fun enough, but they've got a problem when they get on the pitch. Did you watch where I sit in the East Stand up? You know where I sit, Giles. Jane, I don't know where you sit. Where are you?
I'm at the back of the lower tier, so a little bit of elevation, but under cover, so I didn't get totally wet.
Are you East Stand or West Stand?
I'm East Stand.
Okay, so you would have seen this then. Did you see Giroud in the first 5 minutes? What happened with the 2 passes he got? He gave the ball away twice, and just sort of stood there. And I'll go into my dad. What's he doing? It's like he was on the halfway line. He was just like he couldn't be bothered. And all of a sudden, I thought none of them look like they can be bothered. And I thought, what is going on here? This is Watford at home. This is not a top 4 club. Okay, we should have been at them straight away. Early goal, done. Then they'd have had to come out. They didn't have to come out. We gave it to them. Do you know what? I don't know. How Wenger can come out and say that is absolutely embarrassing.
It's not as if it's the first time he said it.
Yeah, half of them didn't play Saturday. So, it was Saturday, wasn't it, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking to myself, seriously, what's Perez got to do to stay on the pitch? What's Theo got to do? I mean, all right, he came on the second half. I understand Danny.
That was his first 90 minutes in, 6 weeks?
I get that. No, I do get that. But I get Danny why he wasn't even there. I understand that. I've not got any criticism on that. But I have got about Perez a little bit. I mean, that shot in the second half when he nearly killed the crossbar was amazing. He should be on the pitch. We need players that are going to fight for us. I mean, I'm in 2 minds about Sanchez. I adore the man. I just love him. Absolutely. He's passionate. He does not stop giving the ball away. I don't like the position he's playing anyway. I have an issue with Giroud. I don't want him on the pitch. I don't. I never have. But his goal scoring record and his stats add up. That's the problem.
Yeah, but loads of those goals have been coming off the bench. Loads of them. Probably 40%.
And Dave, I'm with you. I prefer
more than that. He's scoring at 3 times since the beginning of last season. He's scoring at 3 times the rate off the bench as he is when he starts.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
If we know that and we're amateurs, what is Wenger looking at then with him? Because he slows the. Do you know, seriously, that was the first thing I said. Oh, great pace then tonight. Straight away, and I thought, what's he doing? I just don't get it. And
do you think? It also, Joel, it doesn't make any sense.
No.
When you're building a team, which he is obviously around Mesut Ozil, because the 4-2-3-1 is for Mesut. It's not for anyone else in the team. No one else fits into that system. Everyone else fits into a 4-3-3, 4-1-4-1, 4-4-2, anything better than that. But he obviously thinks, or Mesut demands, I don't know, that he has to have this 10 role. If you're going to play that system, it's even crazier to have the slow target man. Unless people are going to get beyond him all the time, which isn't happening. If you look at last season, we started last season like a train, really, with Theo playing up front. It wasn't perfect, but you look at the Man United game, and Mesut Ozil had 19 assists by Christmas. He had 2 from January to May. 2. What was different in the tide?
Could it have been though?
We were playing Oliver Giroud up front and not Theo Walcott.
Yeah.
That's the difference. He's got a static target man. He's playing fantastic balls to somebody who's standing still. It's that simple for me. Just, it's all around having to play Ozil number 10. Fair enough. If you're going to play him where they want to play him, look how well it was working with Sanchez. He drops in deep, Ozil runs beyond, Theo runs in behind. Completely fluid. We had teams bamboozled. And now we're just back to the easy team to defend against.
I want to come back to the formations and systems of what you guys prefer. I want to take it back to the game. I mean, the first goal couldn't really. I mean, deflection. It's not really much you could have done. I thought at the time that it was a long way out. Actually, even with the deflection, I thought Czech might have gotten down to it. I don't know. It was a long way out, I thought. Some people are saying that Ramsey kind of half turned his back, but I think for me, I'm going to put it down to just being unlucky. It was a decent, hard, well hit shot. You can't do anything about that. I don't know what you guys thought, but my real issue is a catalogue of errors that came about in the second goal. And I tell you what, my WhatsApp group, our podcast WhatsApp group, is going off the hook because people we're reviewing, they are reviewing it now. And, straight from the throw in, you've got Gabriel taking the throw in. He's obviously probably not used to taking throw ins because you don't throw it across the field. From that position, you usually throw it down the line. Some people said it was a foul throw, whatever it was. It's bypassed Ramsey, and then Capue's got on the ball. And like we said offline, Dave, Capue this season has been a revelation in his new position where Mezzar is playing him. He's bombed past Ramsey. He's gone past Coquelin. There's no pace. There's no change of gear from those two. They're left flagging, and then he's backed up. He's got Mustafi now square on. Mustafi, I don't know whether it's because of the penalties that we've been conceding, but he's backed off, allowed him to come into the area. Czech tries to save the day, and then, as any good striker does, Dini reacts first to the loose ball and puts it in. Dave, how do you explain a goal like that? I mean,
well, I'll give you 2 explanations. Yeah. If you're a Ramsey fan, it was Coquelin's fault. If you're not a Ramsey fan, it was Ramsey's fault. There you go. That's about as much as I've got to say on it, honestly. It was just one of those things. I mean, there were too many people to blame. Mustafi, at the end, he's supposed to be an international defender. Just, as you say, he just didn't, he didn't commit. He just square. I mean, I don't even want to go there, to be honest. It was awful. But, I mean, I don't want to dwell on it because how many goals have we conceded like that this season? Not many. That isn't the problem. It really isn't the problem. We've conceded less goals from set pieces than we've never done for years. We've conceded less goals from open play than we've done for years. Those are the first 2 goals we've conceded in the last 8 that weren't penalties. Our defending is not really our issue, is it? It may have been one goal last night with a catalogue of errors, but it's not something that it keeps me up at night, to be honest. It really doesn't.
Jane?
It's the other end of the pitch.
Okay, Jane, what about yourself?
Yes, I agree. I think Dave's absolutely spot on. That it was just a catalogue of errors. It was unlucky that everybody made their mistake all at the same time, and it led to the goal.
Okay, so we're 2-0 down. I mean, at that point, Jane, what are you thinking? You thinking it's all over?
I wasn't hopeful, no. It was the general lethargy of everybody up front. And I think I'm sorry to come back to it, but it just comes back to Giroud. When you don't have a number 9 that can press forward, it makes a huge difference to the rest of the team. If he's not on the front foot, nobody else is. And you remember when Alexis was playing in the early part of the season, and he'd signal to everyone. He'd first signal to Ozil, and then the 2 of them would signal to everyone else, right, come on, we're going forward, we're pressing now. Next 10 minutes, we're going to push the opposition right back into their full-back areas, and everybody would go on his signal. Now, the midfield look up, and they see Giroud standing there, looking around, and everybody's, okay, take another touch, pass it sideways. I had a look at, I was very, very sort of worried about the whole game when I saw the team sheet. And after about 20 minutes, I was getting very, very upset about it. And I just spent the next 5, 6, 7 minutes just watching Giroud, really. And for about 3 or 4 minutes, he did not go faster than a very gentle jog. I mean, really, it was just like he was running around, or not even, just strolling around. It was, this is a Premier League game, and we need some energy, and there was none.
I mean, even if you don't like certain individuals, or you don't think certain individuals fit the system, there's the basic you expect. The basics that you expect from your team is a bit of effort. And whether I don't know, maybe you guys saw it different, but I didn't see a lot of that effort in the first half. I don't care what the system is. I don't care who's playing. You know, you're rested. Like Amanda was saying, half the team were rested. We should have been pretty raring to go. But we played like we were playing on a wet Tuesday night in Stoke.
Well, look at the great Wenger side.
I don't think
the first 6 years, I used to get frustrated in the second half because we stopped playing because we'd already won the game. You know, how many times were we 3-0 up or 4-0 up in the first 25 minutes in 2002, 2003, 2004? And you used to think, right, it's going to be 10. Never was, because we just sat back, we'd won the game. We do it the other way now. We start slowly and then we're desperately chasing the game. There's no need for it. It's absolute. There's no explanation for it. There's no justifiable explanation for a team not getting out of the blocks quickly. It's just, they're professional footballers. There's no excuse for it. None at all.
Jane, you wanted to make a point?
Yeah, I was just, I agree with that as well. I don't think it's just a question of effort though. I think it's a question of synergy. It's about, who sets the tone for everyone. And I look at all of these guys and they're looking around at each other and they're all waiting for somebody else to,
no leaders,
to make the signal. Come on, let's go. But I don't want to say no leaders, because I think then you get into the whole sort of, passion argument and all the rest of it. I think it's a question of changing styles and using the right style at the right time in the right game. And there's got to be somebody who's got to say, right, now we press, now we drop off, now we do a mid-block or whatever it is. And there's nothing. Everybody's looking around with players all over the pitch. The distances are all wrong. And there's absolutely no organisation at all.
Amanda, I looked at the Bournemouth lineup and I saw four centre-halves across the back. I saw Alexis on one side, I saw Iwobi on another side, and I thought to myself, right, we could really examine them here. I mean, they've come off the back of a really poor Millwall defeat, and we can really examine them, get down the sides of them, and get crosses into Giroud, because that's one way of really sort of getting the best out of Giroud, is getting crosses into him. We didn't see that. I mean, the first half we had no shots on target, which I found quite astounding. Looking at were you surprised at how Watford bullied and beat us up so easily in the midfield? Because we really were overrunning. We're always overrunning midfield. We are forever overrunning midfield. But I was particularly perturbed by how they blocked the midfield. They beat us up. They didn't sit back, even though they had four centre halves in playing in defence. They didn't sit back. They actually pressed up on us, and they sort of took the game away from us. Were you surprised, as Jane was saying, there was no synergies, there was no partnerships, there was no real sort of call to arms as a response from our side in the first half?
They looked like they'd never played together and they didn't know each other. That's how I felt. And also, those balls to Giroud, bread and butter for that Watford defence all day long. All day long. I actually am a little bit astounded by last night, and I'm actually speechless, to be honest. I don't know what the issue was. I just don't understand it. We'd come off a good win, okay? We haven't done too badly in the league. We'd picked up. It was there for the taking. They knew that Liverpool and Chelsea were playing. I'm not saying that anyone dreamt that Liverpool would get a draw, but we had to stay in it. Knowing we were playing Chelsea on Saturday, I don't know. I don't know where the synergy went. I don't know where, as I was saying to Jane before, I watched Giroud in the first 3 or 4 minutes just give the ball away. Wasn't bothered. Didn't even go for it. Didn't even fight for it. I understand what Dave's saying about Coquelin and Ramsey. I actually don't have a negative word about either, so I'm quite unbiased on this. But Ramsey was to blame. Whatever way I look at this, Ramsey was to blame, and then obviously got injured, which, God, again. Coquelin, I rate highly. Maybe I shouldn't so much, but I was embarrassed by Mustafi, I have to say. I get the point where they're not going to dive in the penalty box anymore because they will be given a penalty against and a red card. But he has to do better than that. An international defender has to do better than that. We could actually pick out each player of what they did and didn't do last night. But that's not the main issue here, is it? The issue is, what was he? Was he allowed in the changing room last night?
Yeah.
Yeah. So nothing's changed. He's just not sitting in his seat. Not really a ban, is it? What did he say to them for them to come out lethargic like this? You know, good on Watford. They deserved it. I'm getting a bit sick of us coming out at half time and expecting the second half to be the Alamo. Because we shouldn't be playing like this. I want half my season ticket money back. We're only watching 45 minutes every game. And then Theo, if he would have scored in the second half early on, which he should have scored, we probably would have won the game. Okay. I've got no answers. Normally I've got answers. I haven't. I don't understand. I don't understand the team for a start. Sanchez can't play there. He just can't play there. Right? Iwobi can't play there. He can't play there. I'm not even a football coach. I'm not even qualified in anything. I'm just a football fan. And even I know this. And I want to understand something. Someone explain to me. If you're on the bench, are you fit enough to play?
Jane.
Oh, that's a good question. I suppose yes, but quite often they'll give people who are only fit to play 20 minutes a place on the bench, so I don't know what the answer is to that.
Okay, so Gabriel Bellerin, this is what I want to discuss, okay? If he isn't fit enough to play 75 minutes, 90 minutes, whatever, Bellerin, what would have happened if Gabriel got injured in the first 10 minutes? He would have been on, wouldn't he? Right?
Or if he got sent off for the second yellow.
Well, the other thing in this is, if you watch the game on Saturday, 10 of our players played well. Yeah. One didn't, and that was Hector. He had an absolute shocker against Southampton, and he's obviously going to play at Stamford Bridge. So he needed football. He needed to play last night. It wasn't a case of leaving him on the bench and resting. He needed to play. He was rusty as hell on Saturday. He needed to play. And add to that, if you are going to play Giroud from the start, then your two fullbacks are Bellerin and Gibbs, for me. They're not Nacho and Gabriel. If you're going to play with a big centre forward who can score fantastic goals with his head, then you've got to feed that. And we've got two fullbacks who are pacey and with width and better crossers than the two who played. Neither of them played. Both were on the bench. What is the sense? Even if you don't want to play Gibbs on Saturday, still play him. If you look at Man City, 2 seasons out of 3 they won the Premier League, and both Clichy and Kolarov played exactly half the number of games each in that league. Mancini and then the Chilean chap whose name's gone out of my head, both of them used the left back based on the opposition. It's not rocket science. We've got 2 fullbacks with different attributes, both who are very, very good on the left-hand side. Yeah. And yet we only play Nacho. Every time there's pace, he gets found out. We've got a pacey fullback in Gibbs, who's an international left back, who only plays when we're chasing a game and they put him on in left midfield or it's a cup game.
I agree with that.
Ridiculous.
I agree with that entirely, David. I didn't even think like that actually. I agree with it entirely. If you're going to play Giroud, get some width on. Get some width.
Absolutely.
And the thing is,
it's like when Ox comes on for the last 20 minutes out wide on the right. He's the one who feeds Giroud.
Yeah.
He's the one who feeds him.
Yeah.
It's from wide on the right.
Dave, sometimes though he'll take Giroud off and he brings on Theo and the Ox, and you're like, what the?
No, it don't make any sense, does it?
It doesn't. And then he'll have Giroud on without Theo and the Ox, and you're like, hello, is it me? I just don't get it.
But the other point is that Jane made very, very, a very, very good point about the pressing, and you can't do it for 90 minutes, 38 games a season, which is absolutely correct. And she's correct. We've seen Liverpool blow up now. Yeah. We saw Tottenham blow up last season. Yeah. However, you can press probably for the first 60 minutes of a game and then not do it for the last 30. So why not do it that way? Forget the 38 games. Do it in sections of the game, like Jane said. And if you're going to do it in sections of the game, you start with your pacey players, you batter the opposition, and then you bring Giroud on. You don't have to be a coach to say that.
I definitely want to come back to that. Hold that thought, Jane. I know what you're going to say. I think you're going to say something about what you said in Twitter earlier today, and I want to come back to that. But I want to come to the second half where width was a factor. We switched Iwobi out to the left, and he started to run at Britos, or was it Cathcart? And you thought, that's not rocket science, surely. I mean, why weren't we doing that in the first half? Why wasn't Iwobi challenging Britos in the first half? And the whole game opened up. Obviously, Giroud come off at half time, which I was astounded by. I thought it was a great call, but I was astounded. It only took 45 minutes for that to happen. And, Theo's come on the right, and there's
he's never done that before, has he?
No,
substitution.
Absolutely not. And as Amanda said, he scores that goal. That could have been a different game, but there was width. There was, we stretched the park, and Watford fell into their shell. They were defending desperately. You could say it was fast Arsenal. I called it desperate Arsenal. Like I saw in that second half, it was as if this was our season, And I saw Gabriel going up front way before the last 10 minutes. I saw all kinds of, I don't know what kind of formation you want to call it, Dave Jane, but chaos formation if you want, but I saw a desperation in our play, and that came from that first 15 minutes when they kept giving Iwobi the ball, and he started to grow in confidence, and you could tell that he was even going outside the man, not just beating him on the inside, but he was actually going outside the man, and he was toying with him, and then Wenger or Bold or Bamford, whoever you want to call it, has made the choice to bring off Coquelin, and some people are saying they should have waited to bring on Perez. They should have waited another 10 minutes because we had them under the cosh.
No, I wouldn't have brought Perez on at all.
What would you have done? I would have
brought Bellerin. I would have brought Bellerin off for Gabriel for the last change. Because as soon as Iwobi went in the middle, that's when we lost all our momentum.
Absolutely, that's how I saw it. Jane, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I agree 100% with Dave. I think I get quite feel sorry for managers sometimes because they get second-guessed all the time in retrospect, and it's hard sometimes to get these things right. But yesterday was one of the clearest examples of what he should have done, and there were probably 60,000 people in the stadium saying Bellerin's got to come on for Gabriel, leave Coquelin on because he's breaking everything up in the middle. We're actually regaining possession quicker because of him. And as you just said, and Amanda said, Iwobi was doing great where he was. And it was a disaster not to put Bellerin on for Gabriel. Total disaster.
And from that moment, like I said, the impetus really seemed to kind of go out from again. I think Iwobi was a bit, I don't know, he was a bit cut off from the play, even though he was in the centre. He wasn't. I thought that what's his name would have gone into the midfield. I thought Ozil would have dropped into midfield or something like that. At least if you're going to take off Coquelin, drop Ozil into midfield and keep Iwobi on the left. Keep him doing what he's doing, but it just wasn't to be. I mean, Amanda, you said that that shot that nearly cracked the crossbar. That could have been another moment. I mean, did you think at that point that the equaliser was just moments away, like we've seen late goals going in?
No. Normally, I get a feeling that we're going to score, and I always say keep the faith, and and I do feel like that. And you know what? We know it only takes a second to score a goal. It would have been great and everything. Again, papering over the cracks, though, wouldn't it? It would have got us out of jail again. And maybe this is a good thing that's happened just before Chelsea. I don't know. It would not surprise me if he plays the same team, well, apart from the injuries, on Saturday. It just wouldn't surprise me. And I'm going. I haven't been to Chelsea for 20 years, and I'm going. I couldn't bear to watch a 5, 6, 7, but I can just see this. If he doesn't go with pace, because Chelsea do not come at you. We need to go at them. How are we going to go at them with Giroud? All day.
He won't play.
I can't.
Did you think he was going to do what he did last night?
But that was
I thought Giroud would play last night. I didn't want him to. I wrote a match preview and I didn't predict it because I predicted what I wanted to see rather than what I thought. If you ask me what I thought, yes, I thought Giroud would play. Yeah.
I thought that last night the team we would have finished with would probably have been the team that would have started the Chelsea game. So I was expecting Welbeck to come on at some point and Bellerin to come on at some point to give them minutes.
But Welbeck wasn't on the bench, though, was he?
He wasn't
there. Oh, right. Oh, God.
I think that's the clearest indication that Welbeck starts against Chelsea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think so, or on the bench?
Absolutely starts. Yeah. What if he was gonna? He played virtually. He played 75, 80 minutes. He was fantastic. Theo took all the plaudits, but Ox and Welbeck were fantastic.
Weren't they just?
And Welbeck is just he's a completely different dimension to it. He's a force of nature, and he adds the finishing to his game. He's the finished article. So I think he rested him completely last night because he's going to start him. I hope so, anyway.
You agree with that, Jane?
Yeah, absolutely. I would be very surprised if Danny didn't start. I mean, Wenger's really had a juggling act, hasn't he? He's had 3 games, the Cup on Saturday, then last night, and then next Saturday. And he's got to juggle fitness and everyone, especially the people coming back from injuries and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And he gambled. He got it wrong. He underestimated Watford, I think.
Indeed. Okay, so let's...
Theo, Welbeck and Sanchez will start on Saturday.
Oh, that'd be nice.
I think so, yeah. I think so.
Okay, so let's move forward then. Let's move forward as we've pretty much done with this game. Let's move forward to what's going to happen then. I mean, how we see the formation and whatnot. And Jane, I want to start with you. I can't remember Dave and Amanda, but Jane, on Saturday, everyone was really happy with the 4-3-3. The pace, the verve, the imagination that we saw from those players. Some people were hoping that they were going to see that against Watford. My heart wants to say 3-4-3-3, but my head says 4-2-3-1 against Chelsea. But do you and that's possibly for me, and the reason why I think it will stick with 4-2-3-1 is because we haven't got enough midfielders now. We just don't have enough midfield. We've got Ox, who I think was brilliant on Saturday and was really composed again against Watford when he came on. And we've got Coquelin. I don't know if he's going to risk Maitland-Niles. I don't know if he's going to risk Iwobi in the centre as a third midfield.
Why can't Ozil play there? This is the ridiculous myth. One of his best performances in an Arsenal shirt was away at Old Trafford 2 years ago. We played 4-1-4-1, 4-3-3 as Jane would call it, whichever, when you've got the ball or not got the ball. Ozil played. Ozil and Santi played just ahead of Coquelin that night, and he was majestic. He ran the game in central midfield, not playing at 10. This is just this ridiculous myth propagated by the fans that he has to play at 10. He doesn't have to play at 10. I know Jane would like to see him on the left.
Yeah,
but you're saying we haven't got enough midfielders. He is a central midfielder. He is a central midfielder.
My only problem with playing him in midfield, Dave, is the defensive aspect of it. I don't really care about what's happening going forward. I'd never have a problem with Arsenal going forward. My problem, my focus, my issue, my concern, my worries are always about Arsenal defensively. And if you're playing Ozil in a free, he has to do some element of defending. That's a no-no for me.
Okay. Witness Old Trafford, March 2015. He did every bit of defending.
But that was then. Look at him now. Start of
the season, we were virtually playing 4-4-2. Ozil was playing as a second striker with Alexis. He was given that role, and he loved it because he didn't have to have any defensive duties because we had hard-working wide players. That was a 4-4-2 virtually when we had the ball. You're talking about 4-2-3-1 with him in the middle. Yes, he has to do more work, but he can do it. He just hasn't been given that role this season. That doesn't mean he can't do it. I remember him playing 3 years ago. I remember him playing wide right. Against Southampton in the second half, and he was box to box. He was all over the show. Of course he can do it. Of course, we should be picking a formation to win the game, not to accommodate one player, in my view.
Okay, for me, systems-wise, I'm in agreement with Jane. We've talked about the 4-3-3 before. I don't even think you necessarily need Ozil in the team. In a 4-3-3 or whatever 4-3-1-2 or whatever you want.
No, but as you say, we only got to have the 2 other central midfield players if we're going to play it on Saturday.
Yeah. So that, for me, I mean, if we are going to stick to 4-2-3-1, that's a problem for me. That's an issue, But I'm wondering now. I mean, Dave, obviously you're an advocate of 4-1-4-1. You've said that in your blog yesterday.
But that's the same. That's the same formation you're talking about. 4-3-3. It's 4-1-4-1 without the ball. It's 4-3-3 with the ball. It's the same formation.
And defensively, how do you think that works out on our favour? Because obviously, I think Chelsea. I think Conte teams like possession. I think they like them a bit more than Mourinho teams. And he also likes to dominate possession in centre midfield. I think the Matic and Conte are probably underrated in terms of technical possession wise, technicality the technical aspects possession-wise. And, you know, that's where that's the key battle. I always think the midfield is a key battleground, and, you know, that's a problem for me. So do you see the players that we have, the personnel that we have now, able to combat Chelsea in that area?
Who are you asking, me?
Yeah.
Well, the short answer is probably not. Yeah, I mean, Ox needs to play like he played against Southampton and then raise it by about 10% in that role. Can he do it? Yes, he can. Will he do it? It really depends on those around him. I mean, Coquelin and Ox is untested. You know, have they ever played together in that, apart from perhaps the last 10 minutes of a game? Probably not. Have they played together in probably the biggest pressurised game of the season? Obviously not. It's going to be immensely difficult for them. But we are where we are. I mean, everyone said that 4 years ago against AC Milan, and Ox had the game of his life. He played in midfield with Thomas Rosicky that night. So who knows? You know, I mean, I'm not one of these people who doesn't rate the Ox. I rate him very highly, and I think he needs to run in the side in whatever position they decide is his position. If the position is central midfield, then now's the time to prove it.
Jane, if we're gonna, I want to ask you what you think of who should play if we play with what we think Wenger will play with, which is a 4-2-3-1, and then I'm gonna ask you what you think you would like to see on Saturday. So, first question: who do you think should play in the present formation? In whichever.
It's very difficult, as Dave said. It's we're very restricted by the lack of midfield players. So I don't think he'll play 4-4-2 against the 3-5-2 of Chelsea, because we'll just get outnumbered in the middle. So whoever plays alongside Coquelin and Ox, if they are the pair, somebody's got to drop in there to make a 3 at all times. Otherwise, they'll get completely outnumbered against Matic and Kante. So that's going to be the key ground. You've got to win that battle before you can think of doing anything else. And that means, you know, is Danny going to be fit enough to drop in to form a 3 in midfield and then make the burst forward into the wide areas to push the wing backwards rather than having him run towards our own goal? It's going to be very difficult. I don't know what he's going to do. If Xhaka hadn't been so stupid with his red card, then it might have been different, but we are where we are. So if I was to guess, I would say that we'll play this hybrid system that Dave was talking about, the 4-1-4-1, 4-3-3. So without the ball, we have Ozil in the middle as in the number 9 position, and Danny and Theo either side of them, and then we press forward, and then the 3 behind. So Danny drops back in with the other 2 to press behind them and form a compact unit. We have to be so disciplined when we do that, and then when we get the ball, hope that we've got enough energy to spring forward into the wide channels.
So you're saying Ozil a bit further up the field in that hybrid?
Well, that's how he's played the system. I'm not saying Dave's wrong that he couldn't play a different system. When we played 4-4-2, absolutely he played as the second striker. And at Old Trafford, yes, he played a different thing. But the whole of the beginning of first 3 months of this season, when we were playing this hybrid system, that's the role he played, and he played it pretty well, I have to say.
He wasn't asked to defend at all. That's true.
Yeah.
But my point is that doesn't mean he can't.
No. But another thing.
Exactly. I agree.
Another thing to that point is, as Marcus said recently in a recent pod, is he actually defends pretty well from the front. It's a stat. It's an observation not a lot of people actually either realise or care to know about, but he actually presses very well from the front. As you were saying, like with him and Alexis, they set the triggers, you know, and they, you know,
they take 10-minute periods to do it, and they do it brilliantly. They know exactly when to do it as well. They're both of them so very intelligent players.
Indeed, and I think he has one of the highest interception rates playing further upfield in the final third. So
he does, exactly.
You know, so there is reason for that. I mean, okay, so Amanda, over to you. We all want to see fast Arsenal.
Go on, yeah. I don't think I can really add much to that too, because I was actually thinking about Ozil in centre mid, but carry on.
Okay, what are your thoughts on Ozil in centre mid? I mean, how do we make sure we're solid enough defensively? Because that's always my worry. How do we make sure we're solid enough defensively, and and that we have enough energy to break when we need, when we can, because, you know, it's going to be a key battleground.
We have to take our chances. We're not going to get many. And what Jane said was right. We have to be very, very, very disciplined. Everyone has to be on their guard, their game, their positions, everything. Can't afford to turn out how we did for Watford. It's going to be annihilation. It depends how he gets them mentally ready, doesn't it? Don't even start me. 12:30 on a Saturday, we're never that great.
No.
Oh, I can't stand those kickoffs. I'd rather it be 3, 4 or 5:30, but anyway.
Are we just not? Are we not building Chelsea up to be slightly more than they are, though? I mean, they're a good side and they're top of the league. I mean, Hull took them 80 minutes the other week. They're not a Chelsea of 2010.
No. They're
not a Chelsea of. They are a good side, and other teams are failing. They are beatable.
Yeah, they are.
They're certainly beatable.
Tottenham showed it. Tottenham showed you can beat them if you exploit their weaknesses, and their weaknesses are the area between the wing back and the guy ahead of him. You know, that space there. You know,
and Welbeck and Theo or Welbeck and Perez are those sort of players who can exploit
exactly.
that.
Yeah. And Chelsea's defenders are not going to want them on the pitch. No. They'll want Giroud all day long.
Of course they will. Yeah, Cahill would love to have Giroud.
Exactly. I'd love Giroud. I'm faster than him.
Well, look what happened to Cahill when Sanchez pressed him at the start of the season. That was their first goal, wasn't it? Or second goal?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, though, since we beat them, they went on that amazing run and only lost to Tottenham, didn't they? I do feel you're doing them a little bit of disservice, Dave. I do think they're a very, very, very good side. I mean, I don't think they've been lucky. I think they've worked hard. And I have to say, I don't hate them as much as I used to because I like the manager. I think Conte's fantastic. He never says a word, gets on with his job, and he's got them playing really, really well. Very Italian-y, isn't he? And I love that. But Saturday is a really, really, really good test for us. Tottenham did it, and they did it well. Actually, they deserved to beat Chelsea. They took it to them, didn't they? Let's just start the fucking game. Excuse my language.
Do you think
the start? Mm-hmm. Can you imagine going there and not playing to the 45th minute?
Yeah, indeed. I tell you, I wanted to ask you guys before I forget: is attack the best form of defence, or do we have to be really pragmatic? You know, press in certain quarters, you know, kind of like how we were against Man City in the first 45, but sort of carry it through and then hit them on the break, or you know, or I wonder if we're better off sort of like taking the game to them. Like, Dave, am I being a bit too am I underrating Chelsea a bit too much by saying, you know, attack will be our best form of defence?
Well, I don't think that's anything to do with Chelsea. I just think it has to do with us.
Confidence.
we're very good at that. So let's just do what we're good at, because we haven't got the deep lying midfield players we choose to be going into this game with. We haven't got the midfielders like Santi who can retain the ball under pressure. We just haven't got those players. So we haven't got those players. Then we need to be, you know, breaking early, getting the ball out wide quickly, and just hitting them with pace. That's what we've got. We may as well use what we've got. We can't defend with what we haven't got.
Jane?
Yes, I agree. I'd like to see us press high, play our fastest back four. We can cope with them. They've got a couple of very good quick counter-attacking players in Willian and Hazard, obviously, but I think we can cope with them. So I would like to see us really have a go.
Okay, so predictions for Saturday. I'm going to start with you, Jane.
Oh, I hate making predictions. You ask me this all the time. Oh, gosh. 1-1.
Dave?
That's your heart. Now your head.
Yeah.
All right. 3-0 for Chelsea.
Oh, dear.
Same to you, Dave.
2-2.
2-2. And your head?
2-1 to Chelsea.
Amanda?
Gonna rain. We're actually going to start a game, and I don't do predictions. You know that, Jay.
You have to be the odd one out, the outlier. Okay. Well, that's pretty much wraps it up.
Could I just, Charles, just say one thing? Mm-hmm. We haven't mentioned him, and he won't play. But I mean, you might have had a pod since Saturday. But Maitland-Niles,
yeah, what a
future, eh? What a future!
Yeah,
what he's got.
Yeah,
I mean, you can only play what you're up against, and there was an international midfield player against him. He was absolutely superb against Southampton.
You know, me and Clive...
in his right position, he was very, very, very good.
Me and Clive have spoken about him
I liked
before.
them both, Dave. I thought they were both really... And what they were so good at, which we've lacked for so long in central midfield, is that they played early, quick balls. We were so much quicker on the counter-attack. And not only him, but also the Jeff as well. A couple of times, he just laid the ball off at exactly the right moment to keep the move going. And I thought it was fantastic to watch.
Maitland-Niles impressed me more than Jeff, but I do know what you mean. Jeff, quick feet, very skillful. Sometimes the passes were stray, but very good. But to be honest, I loved the way that Ox took the senior role.
Yeah.
He was cajoling them, he was encouraging them, he was talking to them right from the off. Fantastic to see, really.
And the thing is, as a lot of people have said, his best games for Arsenal have generally been in the central role. And I have to say, last night when he came on, I thought he took on that ball playing role pretty well. He took responsibility. He was trying to thread the island. He was trying to recycle quick ball and get it wide, get it long, and mix up his game. And I thought he did really well. And that's
we haven't discussed that, but him getting injured affected us as well, didn't it?
Yeah.
Because you're right, a lot was coming to, a lot of things were starting with Ox, but after that he was a passenger, wasn't he? After he got the dead leg or whatever it was, he was limping around for a good 15, 20 minutes and really just a case of don't give me the ball unless you have to, which is a real shame.
Really is. I mean, I don't know how, have they said anything about his injury?
Just a knock, I think he'll be all right.
So hopefully he's all right.
It was a kick on the knee. They said he'd be fine for Saturday.
I just hope, thank goodness for that.
I think how you can sum up Saturday was fluid passing football.
Yeah.
I like that term.
Yeah.
I'd like to see more of it.
Yeah, wouldn't we all?
I just thought I'd put my 2 pence worth in there.
All right, so hopefully we're all hoping with our hearts that something magical happens on Saturday. I mean, the season isn't over, but if we win on Saturday, then we're 6 points behind, and it's game on. If we lose, it's 12 points, and it's pretty much it at the beginning of February. I always look at the table at the beginning of February. That's when I start to look at the table, and this is it. Wenger's talked about our moment of truth. January is our moment of truth. I think we generally sort of got through it, but now we're at a real crossroads in our season, and I hope beyond hope we get a win. So I want
83 minutes of Man United are still being held 0-0 at home by Hull.
Wow.
Just a little update for you there.
So I thought that you were predicting for Saturday.
No. and my other prediction is the biggest game of our season so far is the 20th of February against Sutton. Come on, we all love the FA Cup.
I'm telling you now, Dave, don't beat Sutton, I'm emigrating.
The magic of the cup. The magic of the cup, indeed. All right, listen, I want to wrap it up here, finally, once and for all. I want to thank my pod wife, Amanda, for coming on and joining me.
Thank you.
Lovely. Always good to be with her. And also our 2 very esteemed guests, Jane Cavendish. Jane, thank you once again.
Thank you for having me, Giles.
Indeed. And also to the big man, Dave Seeger. Dave,
thank you very much.
All right.
Until next time. Cheers.
So that's been a Gooner Ramble podcast. Catch us on all the platforms. Catch Jane at JCav90. Catch Dave at Gooner Dave66. Catch Amanda at GoonerGirl1969. And catch me at Inverted Winger on Twitter. My name's Giles. Thank you. And thanks for listening. Good night.
This podcast is sponsored by...
Football has its ups and downs. You can't win every match, but you can win every bet. Start your free trial and earn £30 risk-free today at oddswatchdog.co.uk.